Queensland has abandoned their stupid land tax. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, here Florian.heise, and welcome to another episode. Grab your stein of coffee. Let's have a look at this article from the ABC highlighting the fact that our Premier and our glorious politicians and bureaucrats have decided, I'm sure, all after thinking about these things and wasting a lot of money, to abandon this insane land tax grab they had here in Queensland. Essentially, de facto taxing you on land you had in other states, or taking it into account in how much they charged you for the properties you had here. My issue with this is, well, it seems bloody unfair, and it's going to get passed on to renters. Investors are going to find a way to pass on all those expenses to the people renting the properties. We already have a rental crisis in this state where rents are going through the roof. People are complaining left, right, and centre. We even have the Greens making insane calls to force people to rent out empty space. So this is good that they've backed down from this, but it has to be seen as that, as Labor in Queensland backing down from a stupid idea. But think about how much time they wasted going through this, all the wasted resources, the bureaucrats. That's all money. That's all money. The Queensland government isn't debt-free. We've got a country where these politicians are just racking up tremendous amounts of debt. So, of course, they're looking for ways to clamour it back. Clamour money off us, off hard-working people. And I know it's cool to hate on landlords, okay? But they're providing a service. They're providing homes for people to live in. Sure, it's not as cheap. Sure, people are jealous and want to own their own houses. But that's just part of life, okay? So let's have a look at what the ABC has written here. Because fantastic, good that they've gotten rid of it. Sad that we've wasted all this time and resources getting to this point. So the Queensland government shelves the controversial land tax changes as the Treasurer defends the policy. Well, of course he's going to defend the policy. Unbelievable. Rather than, maybe the Queensland government should look at all of the costs they have and look at how to reduce those. The Queensland government has shelved changes to land tax after the Premier met with interstate leaders, but Treasurer Cameron Dick has continued to defend the policy. The proposed changes, which were slated to come into effect next year, would have meant some people with properties in Queensland and interstate would have paid more tax on their land. The amendments to the tax had already been legislated, which means they will now be deferred in Parliament. The decision comes after opposition from other state and territory governments and the Real Estate Institute of Queensland, which labelled the plan illogical. Okay, so why are other governments in other states going to protest this, and that's going to result in cheaper cost of living for Queenslanders? Okay, this is the other states have your back, not your own Premier. Not the people you're paying to manage the government in our state. They're just finding ways to jack up taxes. I mean, this is illogical. With rents are going nuts, guys. Let's look here. You know what? We'll bring up this SQM. What do we want here? We want Brisbane rents. Okay, we'll bring up this chart. Let me just wait for it to reload, and we'll see. Hang on. Wait, I got to type it in. Bris rents. Come on, what's going on? Brisbane rents. There we go. The moment I click on it. So we can see here, rents in Brisbane from 2020, all houses, $466 a week. Okay, not too bad. Not too bad. Now, it's $631 a week. That's a huge growth there. What are we looking at here? All houses, 12-month change, 19.2%. 15.3% for three-bedders. 15% increase in rents. Now, you've got to remember as well, when people are talking about dramatic property falls, they're making good yields off these things. The rents are going up. So that's going to provide some market support and incentive for people to hold on to these assets. You've got to remember that. But a tax that would be introduced that would affect investors that are providing rental properties to Queenslanders, when we've got rents skyrocketing, 15% up in a year. It doesn't make sense. Why would you even propose that? Don't these people see this? Or maybe they're looking at the bigger picture. Well, it is Labor. They would not be able to reduce staff. Can you see Palaszczuk firing massive amounts of redundant workers in the government to reduce costs? It'll be political suicide. So they're just going to tax the evil landlords. And who cops it in the end? The person who's struggling to save to get a house deposit. Earlier this week, the New South Wales Premier, Dominic Perrottet, said his government would refuse to supply data to Queensland to help implement the tax. There you go. The Premier of New South Wales has got your back, renters in Queensland. I mean, this is just a joke. And people will forget this. Next election here in Queensland, they'll prattle on and on again about Campbell Newman, and people will just vote the same bloody way, and cost of living will continue to go up. Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk designed the move was a back down on her government's land tax policy. She said the decision comes after she spoke to state and territory leaders on Thursday night. Contrary to what the public report, Dominic Perrottet and I get along quite well. But it does require the goodwill of other states, and if we can't get that additional information, then I'll put that aside. See, this is the thing. People were asking in the comments, how are they going to get this information? You know, if I don't fill out the form and I don't give it to them, there you go. This is how. This is how. What's safer? Your data with Optus or your bloody property information with other states? Mr. Dick has stood firm on his support for the policy after weeks of campaigning. He said data needed for the policy could have been obtained through the title's office. In a statement, his department said he stood by the tax. Of course, politicians stand by the tax. I mean, they would have to know this is going to be passed on. That we've got a rental market. I've shown you the charts there. Asking prices for rent up 15% for a 3-bedroom house in the last 12 months in Brisbane. Now, if some of those landlords have properties in other states, do you think they're going to absorb that, or you think they're going to start inching up the rent to try and eat up that cost? Surely they know this. I guess they just don't care. They just want to hoover up as much money as they can. The Treasurer stands by everything he's said about the land tax, but of course he accepts the decision the Premier has made. After talking to other leaders, a department spokesperson said. Earlier this month, the REIQ criticised Mr. Dick's policy, claiming he would deliver a king hit to investor confidence in Queensland and would send commercial rents through the roof. I'm not even thinking about commercial property. That didn't even cross my mind. Again, there you go. How many of the EFTs have I been looking at that invest in, or REITs, real estate investment trusts, that invest all around the country? I remember when we were talking about commercial property and the demand dropping down there, how many of those would have property interstate and in Queensland? Oh, boy. And they will have no issues with upping the rent for their commercial clients. They're bastards. They don't give a shit. They'll just up the rent. I mean, retail, they try and up the rent every year and get a slice of all your earnings. It's such bullshit. Land tax is paid to owners on land value over $600,000, with exemptions for principal place of residence. For now, we're lucky. We're lucky, guys. Let's have a talk about this one. So there we have it. The land tax change isn't going ahead for now. For now, we need to be vigilant. People need to realize this is what your elected officials have tried to push through. A tax which will affect those that are trying to lift themselves up, get up on the rungs. Why do people think Labor give a shit about the little guy? This is the little guy here struggling to get into property. They're renting. They can barely afford it. We've had a 15% increase in the last 12 months, and they're proposing a tax now that's going to directly impact those people. And don't kid yourself to think investors are going to cop it and not pass it on. 100% they will. Look at what happened to Ireland. What is it? Over 50% taxation on landlords, stopping people evicting. And then what's happened? Everyone got out of the market, so there's only, 700 properties for rent in the country? It's just nuts. This is why You want government out of the property sector to stop meddling in it. How the hell are we ever going to get that to happen in Australia? I don't know. It's a bloody religion in this country. So, fantastic, good news. You need to remember this. This is the type of policy that affects your cost of living. Okay? It's these taxes. It's not the evil landlords. It's not the evil developers. It's the bloody taxes and bullshit that the government throw on you. Thanks, everyone. Check out my other channels, HeiseBim and HeiseSays International, for other content that I discuss. And if you're a fan and want to support us, you can financially on YouTube or Patreon using our referral links, Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, and our AussieBroadband. I've discovered Amazon Prime. And what did I have? I had 3 birthdays yesterday, 2 for my kids and 1 for a mate. And I ordered everything off Amazon and it got delivered in a couple of days. They'll even wrap it for you. It's awesome. So yeah, I'm a fan. I'm only 4 years behind everyone else, which isn't surprising. You can order our pocket squares or call us if you need an architect, everyone. Take care, guys. Have a great day. And I'll see you in the next episode of HeiseSays.